Alright, so now we're going to be asking Luke a couple of questions about the book. So firstly, Luke, you are an environmentalist, you're a photographer and a filmmaker. What inspired you to write this book, The Devil's Prayer?
So about 20 years ago, I left India to Australia and started working in the field of environment and got familiar with the concept of intergenerational equity. And what this means is that we want to leave a better world to the next generation. So our parents wanted to leave a better world for us, just as we want to leave a better world for the next. But our generation is almost certainly the one that has broken this chain. And it's no secret. I mean, we've been bombarded with videos, with documentaries, and I just felt that if I could position something along the lines of a very popular fiction book, maybe that would have a much wider reach.
From all types of genres, why did you choose horror? Which writers inspired you?
So, as such, The Devil's Prayer initially started as a film, and the cheapest and easiest genre is horror to make in film. You don't need well-known actors or anything like that, hence horror. Very early in my life, I was traumatized by The Omen, David Seltzer's Omen, and I've always been a big fan of Dan Brown, and I always thought it would be a great idea to make a book which is the Da Vinci Code version of The Omen.
And in the book, you sought out some beautiful and obscure places, and these all had an interconnected history. How did you discover these places?
So, Devil's Prayer is actually in two timelines. It's written in the 13th century, and the other half is in now. And all the historical fiction is based on true fact. So, I think we've got We've got the Devil's Bible, which exists in the National Library of Sweden, and that actually is a little matchbox just to show you how small, how big the book is. It's the largest medieval manuscript, and according to the legend, a monk was sentenced to death, and by his superiors, and to escape this death, he offered to write all the knowledge of the world in one night. And at midnight, he prayed to Lucifer, and the devil completed the Devil's Bible, or so the legend says. And what's really fascinating is that experts today have studied the handwriting. It has been written by one person. It would have taken 25 years, but nobody can still explain why the handwriting has never aged. And this is a well-known fact. So that was one. Every Devil's Prayer location, in terms of how I found them, every Devil's Prayer location has one common thread, and that is that it has survived against all odds. So, for example, if you go down to Assen's Fortress, this was on a 2-hectare plot, and it was an impregnable fortress, but not a single stone remains of the entire fortress, except for this little church which is out there, which is called the Church of the Holy Mother of God. And this is untouched. And in the Devil's Bible, there are 12 missing pages, and this is also a well-known fact, and it is rumored to contain the Devil's Prayer. Those 12 pages were stolen in Assen's Fortress, because man is quite happy to mess with another man's God, but very few are game to mess with what the devil has blessed.
So, what is the strangest thing that has happened to you on the road to writing this book?
Well, as I said earlier, the Devil's Prayer initially started as a film script, and I had gone to the Czech Republic to shoot the Bone Chapel. And this is a chapel which housed the Devil's, this is a chapel which housed the Devil's Bible. And a strange monk decided one day to dig up the whole graveyard, and he redecorated the whole chapel with 70,000 skulls and bones. And the story is that I went and asked the Bishop of Prague whether I could shoot in this chapel, and of course he asked me what the book was about. They asked me what the book was about, and he said absolutely not. And we decided to go down to Barrandov Studios to replicate this. And when I was there, I talked about another location in the book, which was the Gateway to Hell. This was a fiction of my imagination, And they took us here, which is in the opening scene, and this is Besdes Castle, where they've got the rock actually is cut into, the steps are cut into the hill. And the location scout then said to me, "Would you like to see the real gateway to hell?" And I thought he was putting me on. This just couldn't happen. And about half an hour later, we were in Hauska Castle. This is a place that a fort that has been built again in the 13th century. It's got no water, it had no trade routes, so there's absolutely no reason why it should have been built. And all the fortifications actually point inwards to keep something inside. Hitler actually captured Hauska Castle during World War II to try and garner the support of Satan to win it. It's got, and the story is that there is a bottomless pit out of which a big a winged beast used to come out and terrorize everybody, and they built a chapel to seal, believe it or not, what is called the gateway to hell. And it's sometimes in life you actually believe that fate has led you to a place. This was it.
So is this book anti-religion?
No, not at all. It's about the balance. I mean, religion is about the fight between good and evil. It's the balance between good and evil. There is no light without darkness. And in the book, we even talk about something that Paracelsus says, and it's dealing with the fact that even oxygen and water in excessive quantities are toxic and lethal. And so it is with religion too.
Finally, what's the one thing you would want your readers to take away today?
My book? Yeah, the DevilsPrayer talks about the parable of Noah's Ark. I know I'm sounding very strongly about environment. I've spent 25 years of my life with it. It talks about the parable of Noah's Ark, and had Noah actually taken 4 elephants, he would have to have dropped probably the giraffes or zebras into extinction. And, well, man is Noah, and the Ark is our planet. And we have been entrusted with this responsibility to look after everything. When I was born, the population of the world was 3.6 billion. Now it is 7.6 and growing. And we have modified and renovated our ark to suit one species and throw out everything else in the bargain. On a deeper level, Denise Russo, the protagonist, is my generation. She dies, as you probably picked up, and commits suicide, and she disappears. And she leaves behind a whole set of cryptic clues to the next generation of her daughter Siobhan. Siobhan is the next generation we are handing over the keys to run the planet. It's a whole bunch of cryptic clues and inadequate tools to actually manage. But the worst thing that we're doing is that Siobhan is actually left with the unenviable task of having to kill the person she loves the most to save the planet and everything else. And that's exactly what we're handing over to the next generation. So whilst it is fiction, the environmental horrors are all very true in this book.
Luke, thank you so much for answering our questions.
I'd also like to say thank you. I know it's Bombay or Mumbai, and you've got traffic to come through, and thank you. Some of you have come from fairly large distances. I also wanted to thank Anup, Pushnav, Noise, and Indur from Right Place. I would strongly recommend. I have had a wonderful experience with you all. I would highly recommend anyone working with them. Also like to thank Crossword and also Australian book publishers, my 2 co-hosts, and of course my sister Frances, who has been running around with my book for the last year and a half or more. Thank you.